Hey, ride or run, let's get it done. Today I'm talking to you about the Forerunner 955 Solar. Is this watch overkill for your average runner? Yeah, it is. Should you buy it anyway? Maybe yes, maybe no. Let me tell you why I decided it was worth it, and if I still think so after wearing it for over a month. Last spring I decided I wanted to exercise regularly because of my family history with diabetes. So I didn't have a lot of room at home for equipment, and I wanted something that was like really low cost of entry and something that I could do anywhere. So I decided to pick running. Little by little, I was running about 12 to 15 miles a week, which is way more than when I started. I remember on my first run, I don't even think I ran a mile, and on top of that, I probably stopped 3 times to catch my breath. But I was out there doing it, and so I felt really proud of myself that I got that far, which is incredibly ironic because if you know me, I hated running. I didn't think there was anything more boring you can do than running. I'm getting a little sidetracked. My running is going along really great. I was going out there and doing it, and naturally I wanted to kind of measure how I was doing. I know I could have used my phone, but I tried and it sucked. It felt like when it was in my pocket, it was pulling down on my shorts. I didn't like holding it in my hand. I don't know how people do it. So the obvious thing for me was to get a running watch. There are cheaper Garmin models out there and other brands that'll measure your pace, overall time, total distance run, and some even have music. But the Garmin 955 has a few features that I really knew that I needed to have. I'm not going to get into all the details here because there are people out there on YouTube who can do it way better than I can ever imagine doing, like DC Rainmaker and Chase the Summit. If you really want to know, you can go check out their channels for all the detailed features. This is going to be for all the non-techies out there like myself. Let's start with the features that I like. The 955 Solar has this thing called HRV status, which is heart rate variability. It measures the time in between your heartbeats. And now that can vary, it's not dead consistent. So what it does is takes an average reading and sees how you are within that average. If you fall within there, it says that you're balanced. But if the heart rate kind of jumps all over the place, it tells you you're unbalanced. And the good thing about that is that if it's unbalanced, it might be an indicator that you're getting sick or that you are sick. Like for example, last week I had a cold, and for 4 or 5 days, my heart rate variability was in the unbalanced section. And so I was like, oh, that makes sense because I was feeling sick. The only annoying thing about this is that you have to wear the watch for 3 weeks straight in order for it to establish your average heart rate variability. But for hypochondriacs like me, this feature is a must-have. The other feature I knew I had to have was the solar charging capabilities. Now, I know there are reviews out there that said it doesn't really matter, it doesn't add that much battery life, but a lot of those reviews came from places where they get a lot of weather. I live in Southern California, so the one thing you can count on here is the sun. And with the environment all messed up, it's only going to get hotter. So having solar charging capabilities during global warming is definitely a huge advantage. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm actually not. The difference in battery life over the non-solar edition is like 5 whole days in smartwatch mode. That's a huge difference. I keep looking at the watch thinking, is this thing working or not? Is this going to die on me anytime soon? And it just keeps going and going. Now, there are a lot of people who complain about the fact that it's expensive for being made out of plastic, unlike the Phoenix or the Epics. Yeah, they cost a little bit more, but being made out of metal, they're also heavier. I personally haven't owned a watch in decades because I didn't like having sort of weight around my wrist, so the lighter the better for me. And besides, how are you going to run your fastest PB when you have a giant weight on your wrist? You're not. The other option I like is that it has a touchscreen as well as the physical buttons. But when you're doing an activity, you can lock the phone so that you don't accidentally use the touchscreen and mess yourself up during an activity. I have a glass protector on mine and it still works great. Some competitors have a dial, but I think I actually prefer the physical buttons because you know that when you're pushing it, and there's no confusion. Another plus for me was that the 955 has better maps compared to something like the Forerunner 255, which I seriously considered. The truth is, I don't really use the maps at all. Quite frankly, it's because I don't know how to use the maps. But I like having the option. I'm sure down the road I'll be able to use it when I want to. So for me, those are the big reasons why I chose the 955 Solar over something like the Garmin 255. Now, would I still choose this after wearing this for over a month? One of the big things for me, which I haven't mentioned yet, is music. Now, the 955 has the ability to stream music, unlike the 255. So I was like, oh great, easy choice. I didn't want to deal with downloading songs to the watch. But after playing around with it, I just couldn't figure out how to make the Spotify app work. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just download the songs on there and use it that way. And a few days later, I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, there's no way this watch can stream music off my phone if my phone isn't around. There's no cell service. Duh, what an idiot. That's the only reason I chose this over the 255, and now I can't even do that. The only consolation is that it has more memory, so I could actually download more songs onto it than the 255. The last thing that gives me second thoughts about this watch has actually nothing to do with the watch. Now, it's kind of annoying that I had to wear this for 3 weeks straight at night, which I never wear a watch anyway, so that was kind of weird. But once I got used to it, I actually don't mind wearing it at night so I can get the measurements. The thing is that because it is solar, I find that when I'm outside, I'm always cheating my watch toward the sun. So when I'm driving, I'm kind of driving around like this, with my watch like that, or like this. Or I might be outside talking to somebody, but I'm not standing as you normally would because I'm cheating myself toward the sun to get a little bit more recharging going on. So the whole thing makes me feel a little bit neurotic and inconvenient. The final thing to consider is that this watch measures everything, and although that may be great, for me, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on me to go out there the next day and do just a little bit better. And if I don't do that, I feel guilty, like I should have tried a little bit harder, or you know what I mean? And it makes me really goal-oriented, which I don't know if I enjoy that much. These things, maybe they're not a concern for you, and maybe they will go away the longer I wear the watch and I start to not notice it as much anymore, the whole solar charging thing, as well as other measurements. But for right now, I feel like I'm paying way too much attention to the watch, and it's putting me in a place that makes me feel a little bit stressed out, so I'm not sure if I'm that happy with that part of it. To wrap it up, the 955 Solar Edition has way more features than the average runner will ever need. You know, in fact, it probably has way more features than even like some of the advanced runners will ever need. It's a bit more tailored to the triathlete or somebody who really likes to go out there and do all kinds of different exercises and are really into like measuring themselves and trying to progress. For the average person like me, I definitely do think it's overkill. But with all that said, if you're a hypochondriac, which I am, and you live in a sunny climate, which I do, then you will not be disappointed with the Garmin 955 Solar Edition. Oh, and it's got an ECG app that just came out, so I can't wait to try that. Sorry for the long review, but I hope some of the things I pointed out would help you make your decision. I'll get back to you on a later video regarding my neuroses and all these running stats. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if this watch also makes you feel neurotic. I'll see you next time. Ride or run, let's get it done.